Just call the meeting to order. Special meeting of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District, April 23rd at 6 p.m. And start with a roll call. I am Karen Morgan, present.
Dave Wickman, brother.
Roger Wendell, present.
Hicks present.
Randy Little, present.
Congratulations and welcome. Nice to see you here. We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Are there any directors' matters, disclosures to talk of this evening?
Well, I think I told you I'm leaving town ahead of the tax collectors. So,
Not a joke, not a joke, not a joke.
Oh.
Okay.
but
yes.
anyway, yes, I will be gone next month.
All right, thank you. Changes to the agenda. I move to add a executive session for negotiations on a lobbyist contract after, so it would be item 6B after that one. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Director Wendell seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous approval, thank you. And so we can move into public comment. There is no one in the room. Would anybody online like to raise their hand? Ms. Ludmilla. Go ahead and unmute yourself, it's all yours.
I'm back. Good evening, Director Morgan. Good evening, Director Hooks. Todd, what are you doing? Moving out of the district or are you sticking around?
I will be moving out of the district.
Oh, no, don't say that. Good evening, Director Whiteman. Hey, you were in Texas, huh? Watching the moon and the sun?
Trying to.
Director Wendell. Roger, I saw a picture of you with your beautiful better half. She's a
Oh,
winner.
thank you.
Yeah, she's a winner. She's a keeper.
I didn't hear that.
She's a winner. She's
Oh.
a keeper.
Thank you. I love her to pieces.
Ready for this one? What did she see in you?
Quick wit.
Congratulations and welcome, Director Little.
Thank you.
Hi, Dylan. No Josh tonight. Where's Josh? Oops. Hey, Sam. I know everyone missed me and you're very anxious, dying to know and hoping I would be present tonight. Seeing me raise my hand, you were all just jumping for joy. Couldn't wait to hear what Ludmilla has to say. Well, I don't have much to say tonight. I read the agenda. I'm waiting to hear how the legislators could possibly set restrictions on development fees. So the only thing I came up with was the legislation will favor the donors, the developers, and punish the customers and make us pay the developers' expenses. I just wish the legislation session was over because they love making more rules, more laws for us to follow, and yet the million of laws already on the books aren't enforced. And there is now only selective prosecution for law-abiding citizens. We definitely need lobbyists as the developers have hired tons of their own. All right, here we go. What's everyone having for dinner tonight? I'll tell you, I stopped at Safeway, picked up some petite sirloin steaks. It was buy one, get one free. You can't afford the ribeyes anymore. You have to wait for them to go on sale. All right, I didn't take too much of your time tonight. Everyone keeps smiling.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else online. And no one called in, right? So we would see that. So I think we are closing public comment. Thank you very much.
By the way, just out of curiosity, when we put something on the website about meetings and stuff like that, is there any you computer people, is there any indications of how many people actually see that? I mean, some things have counters too.
See the notice, we can get in there and do that.
I would just be curious as what, 3 people saw it, or,
If you're online, you can see who's online at home.
right?
Yeah, we could track page visits, can't specifically see who sees
Yeah, no, no,
but we can track who's been to what pages at what times.
because I just kind of wonder whether hundreds of people see it and don't care, or 3 people saw it and everybody else is oblivious. I suspect it's the latter, but
I do too, since you have to come to
I agree.
the expected. Purpose of the meeting tonight is about this proposed state legislation. I know, hopefully y'all had a chance to look, I sent it around. For the purpose of the public, I'm gonna go through it a little bit. This goes back to the discussion in Lakewood about ADUs. And the tap fees being the big expense for ADUs. Lakewood does not like that. And during those meetings, Lakewood said they had tried to get water districts to voluntarily lower their tap fees. And nobody did. This is not just us. We did send a letter, so we are in Lakewood's crosshairs, and this did come to Representative Chris DeGray Kennedy's attention. Specifically us, but overall, that's the history. No one wants to lower their tap fees voluntarily, so this legislation would help encourage us to make that decision to stay out of court. So,
And of course, they're subsidizing, right? The state is, so that all of our water clients don't have to pay for the developers' costs.
did you,
I'm kidding.
oh, okay. I was like, there was a discussion, I'm like, did you see that in here? Cause I missed it.
I was gonna say, I appreciate the humor. I thought that was kind of
Oh
funny.
my goodness.
No, I mean, to me, that's like someone telling you how you're gonna price your business. And
Yes,
I guess in some weird way, they can do that with like minimum wages, et cetera. However, I mean, it's like someone going to McDonald's and say, oh, well, you can't charge $8 for a hamburger, they can only be $6. Well, if I was the difference probably between us and a business owner is the business owner can choose to stay in business or leave. We can't. I mean, with our clients, we don't get that option. Also, we don't have the option of not maintaining a system. And if they suck all the money out of our system, I'm not sure, I mean, the long-term ramifications obviously are awful.
they're awful. I agree. It was nice that the representative did send this to us, as a stakeholder.
At the last minute.
As of Thursday. At this point, there is consensus that this will go forward and he has support. So we have not. I have asked for a meeting with him. I have said that we have a difference in interpretation on the law, and we can go through all of those things that are in here. We have not been able, so I don't know what kind of negative feedback he has been
Yeah,
able
when
to
he says
get.
consensus, is like, what, and the three buddies he talked to, they all agree?
Yeah.
Or did he do a survey of 100 legislators and they all agree?
Well, and you have to remember then, this is the context. So Lakewood wants ADUs, special district, Green Mountain does not. So now we are fighting at the lobbyist level. The representative is representing the city on this, is the constituent he's listening to, and how many cities are pushing for development
Well, I don't
and the
know.
developers.
I mean, are we technically against ADUs or do we just want them to pay their own way?
No, that's right, but in this scenario, the city would like us to lower the tax.
Well, I understand. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, to me, I mean, if they meet all the development criteria
Sure.
and they wanna pay the money to do it,
Right,
more power to them.
Well, I understand that they want cheaper ADUs. What would be the impact of the stuff that's outside of our boundaries? That they keep wanting us to take on Bernie Valley and beyond?
there's a difference of opinion, and I had that that question specifically for a legal session in a little bit. So we can go through the ins and outs of that.
So is the small district association addressing this at all? Yes, is it called SDA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the small-
Well, aren't they typically with the developers? Typically,
Pretty
I
much.
mean, we might say otherwise, but is that a general statement that's fairly true?
It's pretty broad brush.
Okay,
Let me jump in and say whether or not that specifically is true in this case. They did call me back this afternoon. So I was able to talk to them. So our lobbyist that we are going to talk about re-engaging, I'd like to ask about that. I was able to talk to him. He got the background from talking to the representative and he heard that, got kind of the landscape. According to the Special District Association, listen to me carefully, they are not publicly supporting this bill. But then I had to ask the obvious question, are they opposing it? And the answer is also no. They have also not let the members know that this draft is out there. So no one knows what's going on. Representative Kennedy also sent this draft to the Water Congress. They met Monday morning. The Water Congress did let some of their members know in terms of the legislative committee. So it is technically public knowledge. I was not sure if I was able to circulate this, but it sounds like, yes, I can. It is out there.
and this would be for like even including Denver water. They could
Denver
force
water.
Denver water
Yes.
into,
Yes. So, but that is, for example, in our discussions for tap fees. You remember how that went, that we got a lot of heat for people saying, why are your fees only $5 when they should be $50, like District XYZ?
right,
We have a lot of constituents interested in raising tap fees for whatever reason. There is also a lot of districts like Denver who has much lower tap fees than us. So that was brought up either at the Lakewood meeting, I think it was at the Lakewood meeting, where why are Green Mountains so high when Denver is so low? So that's kind of what they want. They find the lowest common denominator and everybody should match that.
well, but every district has different financial constraints and burdens.
Yeah.
And we don't have I mean, just for example, the home I'm buying, which is interesting, when I got my closing papers, the city of Denver comes out and bills, even though it's through Bear Creek Water and Sanitation. Denver Water gets to bill in on top of their stuff as an add-on.
Is that right?
And to my knowledge from the paper I saw, I have no idea. It's just like an administrative fee.
Mhm.
That's $25 a month
Mhm.
for, let me see, nothing,
Really?
administering. And so to me, I'll go back to like, and, you know, and I'm talking just from what little I know in the last day. But there's ways for other places, say the city of Denver, to get money that is not tap fees, that we as a district cannot get. We cannot impose, like, where they charge us for water, where they control a bunch of other things, where they have more profit centers than we have. That makes sense that they could potentially have lower fees because of all the volumes they do. When our financial constraints are a much smaller district and we don't have all the revenue stream possibilities that they have.
You know, and I really don't know the ins and outs, and I don't know the ins and outs of Bear Creek, and I don't think Bear Creek knows the ins and outs of ours. We have to be tied to the system. We know right now there needs to be a rational nexus for our tap fees to the cost of the system, and that's about it. So that's what when I wrote the letter that we sent to Lakewood, was trying to make clear, we are not being punitive, we cannot be just charging you just for development. And that seems to be the conclusion he came to anyway, and that's why they are trying to do this. So it is what it says. Restrict authority on setting fees and on, there's land use implications, how we're already obligated to serve everybody in the district. So I don't know what is different. Let me ask, do you want to say anything else about what you found on this?
I didn't get a hold of, the attorney that we talked about, so I don't have any conversation there. I can say whatever I have to say until the executive session.
Okay. Josh or Sam, they have also been looking at this draft and had a couple, good insights, and they looked at everything we sent and had some concern. Do you remember any of those? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Anything you wanna share that would, affect the district?
Well, from the way that I've read this, the current methodology that we use to set our rates is buy-in method. And reading this, that would no longer be a viable method for determining tap fees and system development fees. Does that sound correct, Dylan?
That was at least the position with the first draft.
What did you call the method again?
We currently use the buy-in method,
So
essentially where
buy-in.
anybody buys in.
Buy-in.
They buy a share of the district. That's what the tap fee is the total value of the district, and each person buys into their equal share of the district.
Okay, gotcha.
Good way to explain. And then also the proportionality of the pipes.
So reading this, the way I read it is that wouldn't be a clear way to. So. Item 3, to ensure that special districts have sufficient funding and capacity to continue to manage and operate their water and sanitation systems is a little open-ended. I don't know how that would be interpreted into that.
Did SBA ask us for input on this?
No,
To the best of our knowledge, the only time we heard about this is when Kennedy finally,
The first time I heard about this is when Karen sent us an email about it.
and I specifically asked SDA if they had circulated it or asked their members, and they said no. And they had heard that we were
the target.
the target for this, that we were specifically mentioned as a reason, and they had not reached out to us either. So I asked them to feel free to contact us in future should they ever hear our name being involved in an issue again.
Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but part of the reason I asked is when we talked about getting a lobbyist earlier last year, this year. I made the argument, and I'm deeply embarrassed, that we should try working with SDA, give them a chance. And what I'm hearing is they dropped the ball and basically betrayed us. And that's gonna lead to my opinion is, I think we need to withdraw from them and get our money back as far as dues to them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Go ahead.
It's disappointing, and I had thought that too, because we've had this problem. When I talked to them, they seemed to indicate that they knew lowering tap fees, restrictions on it. You know,
So
politics is a message business.
so what benefits are we to derive from them?
The SDA,
Yes.
they have, member workshops for how to run special district things so that you know the rules and procedures and how to do it. They have all sorts of workshops. I have not been to any, but to get a good introduction for the laws and whatnot, they are there. Dylan participates, right? You go
Yep.
regularly.
Yep.
And do the workshops. What have you seen, a big benefit?
For the districts,
Sure.
it's a good training resource, especially for staff. You get you guys don't do your own elections, but they do designated election official, officer trainings that are pretty helpful. For the non-board level members, so for staff, I think there is a lot of value because you get a lot of, it's like the annual conference. Many of those sessions are on like acquiring funding, how to write a grant, how to manage. It's analogous to any other industry organization. So you have networking opportunities both annually at the conference and throughout the year. You get the board member manual. That's a good resource.
We don't get any, like, do we get any insurances? I don't know why that's in my head. Do we
No,
get any of that through?
You are insured through the special district pool.
Cool,
Yes,
thank you.
which is-
Okay, that's what I was just curious if there was a tie there.
No, they're not related entities.
Okay,
Yeah, so the special district association is separate from the pool. They have, you know, they're integrally tied, but not at a organization level.
right.
Do we have an idea of how much we pay them each month?
I think your annual dues are probably less than $1,000.
Oh, annually,
Wow,
that's certainly.
that's not a whole lot.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, I think our firm pays like $300 annually for SDA membership, and I think it's entity based, but I don't know. And
I don't either. I had 250 in my head, but I don't know either. We'd have to look.
Well,
And
that's almost inconsequential to me.
Right.
I mean,
so
That's true, yeah.
we
if
could,
it would have been thousands and thousands of dollars, I think that made sense, but if it's $1,000 or less, I don't,
kind of a drop in the bucket. in terms of
yes,
Professional
right.
development.
I agree.
if we used it, the other danger is that they do teach things from the developer point of view in many of the cases. So you don't get all of
It's kind of biased.
the rights from. And I won't be able to remember all of those specific instances, but I looked into that specifically when I started, so. Cause some of the things that came up in our litigation, they were not teaching in those training classes. Okay, so it sounds like, I guess I'm looking for first, is there, an agreement on whether or not you would like to oppose this legislation? And then it gets into the nitty gritties of how to oppose it, if so. I am,
Are you looking for a motion?
sure,
Well, yeah, I move that we oppose this.
okay.
And I second that.
Director Wickman motions, Director Wendell seconds. Is there further discussion? All in favor? I will have unanimous approval to oppose legislation that hasn't been introduced yet, but it sounds like it will be introduced. That was the other thing that I have heard, that he's pretty set on it. So it can be introduced. It probably will be introduced. And at the end of session, they are known to have they can turn it around and approve it in as fast as 3 days.
How
So-
long does this session go for?
Till May 2nd.
Wow,
So
so they've
it's-
got a pretty decent window.
So yeah, and it's now. So fighting everything is now. We don't have a whole lot of time to get going.
How quickly can we get the lobbyists back on board?
He said within the same day. We can do the same contract terms as the last contract, just with different terms, different monies. He asked for 40,000. Last year, we had set aside 30,000 for a lobbyist. He
I
asked,
thought it was 36.
well, maybe.
Whatever. Okay.
Maybe. I looked at the last contract that we signed, and it was 30, so maybe it was 36 for this year's budget.
Well, probably was like 3,000 a month, times 12 months would be.
So maybe,
So question, if he's gonna charge $40,000, is that for a year or just one time?
it's just for the end of session.
So that's a lot of money to put out for 2 weeks,
It
2 or
is.
3 weeks. But what else do you do?
I have been racking my brains over that. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of options. This one is all set up so they can go through the existing contract and redo it quickly. We'd have to go find another lobbyist, and it took a lot of work to do that last time.
Yeah.
His explanation when I did ask for a lower price. I haven't heard back. So that was the session that we can go through for the executive session on negotiation. If we don't want to decide that right now, we can go through that. But his explanation was that at the end of session, this is going to be burning through a lot of quick turnaround and political capital to make anything happen.
And what is he guaranteeing us?
Nothing.
We
Absolutely
could
nothing.
spend $40,000 and then they'll still,
And he will try. That's all we can do.
I'll try for $40,000.
So let me, let's pause there then and go into session to ask the legal questions and then negotiation and discuss the money side, what terms we'd be willing to do, and then we can come out and vote on it. If that's okay. Does anybody else have general questions about lobbyists or the issue?
No.
Okay.
Motion. Second.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second,
Director Hooks motions, Director Wickman seconds, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
This is legal advice.
Unanimous approval, executive for legal advice.
As the district's attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion to go into executive session constitutes a privileged attorney-client communication, and therefore requesting that no further record be kept until the executive session has been concluded. Time is now 6:25, and I'm requesting that the recording be terminated. The time is now 7:18, and we have resumed the recording because the attorney-client communication is finished. The executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors, myself, Sam McKay, and Josh Stanley. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I'd ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, the next agenda item is
An executive session for a negotiation discussion. I would like to answer a question though that came up in executive session that we didn't talk about because it was not pertinent, and that was to say again that the legislation it's not really targeted for Green Mountain. Green Mountain was identified as a party, but this was an existing problem that I want to say it was a decade ago that Lakewood investigated and went around to the water districts and asked, will you lower your tap fees? Because they identified this as a problem then. So Lakewood did try and round up, then they tried to round up all of the districts and make a mega water district, but financially that is hard to do. So we're an easy target, we're an easy face for the previously existing problem.
Do I understand it correctly that this is probably driven by the desire for affordable housing to either reduce or eliminate tap fees, which in result will raise water fees ultimately for all of our customers? That's kind of my take on this.
Yeah.
but not just a little, probably a lot.
So rates are gonna go up for our constituents.
Right.
For the purposes of affordable housing.
Yes,
And we're one of the bigger, easier targets to initiate this with.
Right.
It's very sad.
I agree. It's the unintended consequences, because I think
Well, it makes for rate inflation, huge rate inflation. So instead of getting the money from developers or the people who are creating income streams for themselves, we're letting them off the hook on costs, and we're taking our existing customers and making them pay for new development. And this says in here, it says that they are actually supposed to pay their share.
And this Representative Kennedy that's pushing this, what district is this person located in or represents? Is that Denver?
no.
Oh, it's right here.
He's our representative.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You voted for him.
So do we
No, I
want to
did
talk
not.
about a fee for the
So can we, motion to go into, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of, negotiation discussion for the lobbyist. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Director Hook, second, all in favor?
I,
Unanimous approval?
At 7:21, the district has voted to convene an executive session pursuant to CRS 246402 sub 4 sub E for strategy and instructions for negotiations and positions on matters which may be the subject of negotiations with respect to the lobbyist. To satisfy the open meetings law, this executive session will be electronically recorded. I caution each participant to confine all discussion to the stated purpose of the executive session and that no formal action may occur in the executive session. Stop the recording and restart it when you're in. I hereby attest that the electronic recording reflects the actual contents of the discussion at the executive session and is made in lieu of writing minutes to satisfy the recording requirements of the open meetings law. Ask that the district retain the tape in its possession for 90-day period and then destroy it. The time is now 8:04 and we've concluded the executive session and return to the open meeting. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors, myself, Sam McKay, and Josh Stanley. The next agenda item is any actions flowing from the executive session, I believe.
Yes, we can do that. So, as a result of the executive session, we have decided to oppose this and to pursue hiring a lobbyist to help us with that. That would be, Colorado Legislative Strategies, whom we have previously hired. Right? And the contract details are gonna be about the same. So I will make a motion to, I don't know, approve, pursue that contract. Approve that contract with, subject to the terms discussed in the negotiating session. Covered?
with the lobbyist, yes,
With the lobbyist,
I would second that.
CLS. Director Wendell seconds. Any further discussion?
Yes, just for clarification for myself, if nothing else. House Representative Kennedy is pushing for higher density and reduced tap fees for additional units. And the result, as far as I can tell, will be increase in population, of course, and higher fees, higher rates for our constituents throughout Green Mountain Water. And I'm just really opposed to that. So I hope I'm understanding it. It's a complex issue, but in effect, developers are gonna be paying less money for taps, and our constituents are gonna be paying more for water.
I agree, and I agree that any restriction on water board authority at this point upsets standard operating for the last 100 years, so, however, since special districts, so I think that's a danger to us.
I'd like to say one thing too is the city's not lowering any of their fees. They're raising everything and they're trying to take your Tabor tax now,
That's a good point.
you know, so. If they're wanting us to lower ours,
They want us to
should,
lower ours.
we shouldn't get them to lower theirs.
That's a good point.
So, obviously, paying for a lobbyist is not inexpensive. But it looks like it'll be money well spent in this case to protect our ratepayers in the future. Just my general feeling.
There's a good point. Thank you very much. Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Director Wickman, Wendell, and Little, and all opposed? Director Hooks. Very good. So we will go through and I will work on getting the contract tomorrow. I'll let him know tonight. And then I can just send it to you and sign it as soon as we can,
Yeah. Let me take
or whatever we have. Should that be successful. Okay. Next was the letter I sent around about stating our opposition. My intent for that would be to send it to SDA, Representative DeBrey Kennedy, and also any special districts we can grab hold of. Did anybody have any suggestions for that? I don't know what else to do with the tone of it. There's so much, you know, I'm a little bit wordy, so there's so much I would say. I squished it into one page. I don't know if there's anything else. Anybody else? Big ideas? Okay. Okay, well then, I will sign that and send that off, on behalf of the board. Do we need a motion for that? Okay, then the next thing with that letter, I'd like to bring up that we can ask, task staff to help us with this effort. They have, I'm sure they will not want to do this is not fun, but if they can help us, get the email addresses, and it would be worth following up with a phone call to even just say, make sure you've seen this and read it. And if you have any questions, you can call me, you could call SDA, you can call Representative Kennedy. And that would be great, but bring it to their attention because it has not been, and that would have to be as soon as possible.
Probably the biggest thing is that at this point, if people will call Kennedy tomorrow. Because then regardless of what the phone calls is, it's just the fact that you're getting a phone call tells a politician that there's danger and they need to be on the situation. Silence is permission to proceed as they're going.
Can you send out an email to us with I know it's getting late, but I mean, an email that is like a press release that we could send out to our constituents, our email people?
Do you think I can just send, like, can you use that, the letter that?
Yeah,
we just,
yeah,
you
yeah,
just say, we took this position and we're gonna,
To let the people know what we're doing.
yeah,
Could you tinker with my suggestion a little bit?
sure. And I think your suggestion is totally fine, except the circumstances have changed, so now you can say, I know this for a fact. So yes, I'm happy to take a look at anything.
I did a proposed email, which of course is the usual Whitman, and that's what I want to know.
But I do appreciate you heading off. I did want to make sure that it was okay that we let people know. This has not been introduced, so it's a little awkward, but by the time it gets introduced, it will be passed or not. So this is our couple day window, so we have to act now. Mr. Stanley, if you are still there, do you have any thoughts on asking you or staff to devote some time to this effort?
Yeah, I was hearing what you were saying, and in our experience getting a hold of customers, we've had some success with email blasts and with kind of like a reverse 911 almost, with a text message that can go out. We have a lot of cell phones, things like that we can get a hold of people, and we found that them receiving a text is more received than a phone call. So I think that would be the easiest and quickest way to reach more people than the CSRs that we do have available, trying to call out as well as take payments and everything else.
Yeah, I think calling does not make sense.
Okay, let me follow up with you on that, tomorrow, if that would have to. If we want to let our customer, that's two different conversations, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
If we can notify our customers possibly that we have authorized the expense of a lobbyist to work on this one issue that we feel is impactful to the district, we could do that. But let me, I don't have language for that, and I'd have to run that through Dylan to see if we can. What I was thinking is calling special districts, reaching all the managers who don't know, so that they have a chance to.
Well,
weigh in.
are we allowed to tell them potential consequences? Them, our customers? Or is that speculation?
I don't know about that. I don't know
I
about
wouldn't.
reaching out to your customers. I'm a little leery of reaching out to customers on a political matter.
Right.
And my knee-jerk reaction is to recommend against it.
Can we post on the news section of the website that we're
Yeah.
taking a stance on this bill?
That would be fine.
Send that letter to Kyle Clark too at 9 News. He's real good about getting, he's torn apart.
Yeah, yeah,
Excel.
especially if it's a slow.
News day, he'll go all over it.
Or, I mean, I don't follow the news that much. Are there any controversies going on right now?
Just Excel.
But he's in favor of high density and.
No, not really.
Yeah,
He's all over Excel for what they did.
the
with the
news,
wind.
the news just needs a controversy.
Yeah.
It's not that they're taking side one way or the
Yeah,
other.
they're just reporting. They're not taking sides.
Well, would you feel comfortable sending, I can send you whatever I have and then.
Whatever you send me, I'll send it to him.
That would be great. And, okay, so back to,
I'll go to jail.
Josh and calling other managers or admins and whatnot, just to see, email the letter and then just follow up, make sure that it's not getting lost, that kind of thing. Let them know what's going on.
That's definitely, and so I'm sorry, I apologize. I misheard your wanting me to reach out to, I thought it was-
Other districts, not necessarily the customers.
definitely take care of it.
I would let Chris
Wonderful.
Kennedy know who's opposing this too on
Uh,
my name. On the board.
does anybody, I got the impression I mean, how to oppose it, we're coming up with differences, but does anybody?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, if
Everybody
you're
opposes
trying to do
it.
a,
Oh, yeah.
here are these board members, I think that's relevant. But, again, going back to your concern about the politics, if we send out a message to the employees or the district customers that this bill is being addressed.
That's all you have to say.
You're not saying for, against, consequences, whatever, just an announcement for your information, this is being considered by the legislature.
A little more comfortable with that, but it's still like, the hell's my water district telling me about legislation?
That's a good point, yeah.
Well,
It's gonna cost you money.
because it affects the district. And for further information, call Kennedy.
Sure.
That way you're not saying for or against, you're just alerting them that this is a potential impact. It affects you and the district. That's why we're letting you know. If you want more information, call your representative.
Yeah. That,
If
a
we,
little more comfortable with that, yes.
if we can think of something that, Dylan is comfortable with, we can pursue, but if, I wouldn't wanna, that's a line we don't wanna cross, so I don't wanna get too close.
Well, I don't want to tell anybody, oh, this way or that way or whatever, but,
It's the facts.
yeah, I mean,
But it would be odd to hear from your water district if you're a ratepayer. Here's some legislation that may be of interest to you. I'm normally more interested in the amount of my water bill.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's outrageous. I got mine today.
Yeah. Yeah,
oh,
all right,
I guess I shouldn't make jokes. I was gonna say, my joke is gonna be, as a board member, you get free water.
No, you tried to give
But I
me,
get in trouble with Carol.
not a joke.
you tried to give me a glass earlier.
Yeah,
I think that's all I've got for potential actions on this matter. So that's longer than our whole last board meeting. Anything else? Thank you all for that. New business for next meeting. Sounds like we'll need a new director.
Yes, I mean, I guess if I'm not living in the house could, but
Yeah, it's kind of,
I will,
I'm
yeah,
gonna.
maybe it's
leave that
best
to
if
you,
I
but-
just, yeah, so I close at the end of the month. So there's no reason to not. I mean, by the next time it's, cause technically I'm not gonna move into the house. So I had one of our architects out and I'm gonna redo it. And so I'm probably not gonna move in for a few months, but
So does your dad live in Lakewood?
Yeah.
And you're gonna live with your dad for a couple of months?
technically,
Well, then you don't have to leave for a couple of months.
I understand, but it might be better. You can let the new guy have a shot at everything.
It is completely up to you.
No, it's, yeah, no, I'm fine. Stepping away.
So you're officially resigning as of the end of the month.
I guess technically, yes. Do I have to put that in writing?
I am happy to call you on the last day of the month and let you change your
Ha,
mind.
ha, ha. That, it is a Tuesday, I think.
Is it?
Well, yeah.
I would rather you did do it in writing, since,
Okay.
since it
So
was.
should I just send an email or,
Fine, anything,
okay,
yeah.
I will do that.
Well, Todd, you will be missed. You served us well. I've looked over your shoulder, you as the treasurer. No, a good job. I appreciate that.
No worries. It was a very interesting experience, I will tell you. You hope that you did good. That's what I
I
hope.
think you did.
You did good. We appreciate
But
your,
it's interesting, the stuff that, I mean, I just never dreamt of the stuff that this board dealt with.
You're gonna run
Me
for
neither.
election in your new district. And
You don't know what's weird is the county, I've literally had like 10 people contact me about becoming a county commissioner. And I don't know why they decided me, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, unless it's a part-time job.
no, but it can
No,
be paid.
but they pay good.
Yeah,
Is it a part-time job?
no,
I didn't think so.
but yeah, but they do pay. On the other hand, if you do step down now, sounds like you will be stressed out enough. You got a new house to deal with. So maybe that,
Well, yeah, that won't be it. And honestly, it'll kind of be nice. I've had so many things going that it's hard to. I mean, for some reason weird, like in real estate, like I was playing around with. This month I had 5 closings, which I don't think, at one point I was selling like 70 houses a year. And all of a sudden I have like this developer I'm working with and it's just weird, all the stuff I'm falling into by accident. And it is purely by accident.
you're busy. Do we want to put on the agenda for next time then discussion about hiring a new manager? Do we want to go through all of that again? Are we comfortable with
New director.
new director? Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Can you, I think since we just did all those interviews, this being a short time, we don't have to do that again. We can just contact the next person.
Yeah.
Do we want to do that? I don't think, we should not, it was not on the,
Agenda.
agenda to vote for that now, but we could vote on it the next time, vote on a new director.
I think
And
that'd be
can
appropriate.
contact-
Yeah.
We don't need to, contact the top 2, right? I can just call,
You can do whatever you would like. There's a vacancy, basically.
okay,
Just let me know if it's anybody new, so I can check eligibility.
okay. So we had, it seemed like last time there was a pretty clear runner-up.
Yes.
Yes. So it'd be, can we just bring him on,
Well,
contact him
You
next
need to
time
vote.
and vote on
yeah,
that
you just have that discussion at the next meeting.
of who? Okay,
When
I'll let him know.
And
okay.
then we'll need a treasurer.
And then we'll have to do officer elections at that time. Well,
You have to do all of them.
We have to
You're
do-
finding a vice president. I mean, you'd have to do everybody.
we're gonna have to do everybody. So anyway, officer elections, and I don't know, because he won't be able to, the new person at the next meeting won't be able to vote on it as an officer.
Right. I'll be seated at the next meeting.
So do you want to do that then or delay it for another meeting?
No, do it then.
Do it then. Okay,
Well, I'm not speaking for the group.
yeah, that's probably safe. Okay,
And then one other thing to bring up at the next meeting, it'd be extremely brief. Just a quick note on the new district manager's background check. And we won't be disclosing any personal information at all, but we'll make that formal. I'll bring that up during the meeting.
okay. Good. Anything else?
Part of me is like, what's happening with the lawsuits? But you know, like, we might get out of here, so okay, never mind.
And you're not gonna be at the next meeting.
Well, that's one of the things I was gonna say, is I'm leaving town, just ahead of the mob. I won't technically be here for the May meeting. Now, I
Wow, so
will,
you only have 3 people.
Yeah,
I will try to call in, but I can't guarantee that. Now, if you wanted to move the meeting up a week, then I can still make it, but, so I leave town on the 8th.
yeah. I think our constituents, that we're pretty locked into that.
I would try to phone in.
The 8th.
When I phoned in, 2 weeks ago. Was that adequate? You could hear me?
Oh, yeah.
It worked, okay.
That's good. Okay,
In the meantime, too, I don't have an email address here yet. We're working on it. So if you need to get a hold of me, Karen, you know how to get a hold of me.
yeah, we've got your email.
Email and phone number.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you all for this emergency meeting. That
So I will make a
even more.
motion to adjourn for the last time.
Yay. Director Hooks motions, second.
Second.
Director Windell seconds. All in favor?
Alright,
Aye. Did you vote?
he did not. He
I voted
abstained.
for it.
Unanimous approval.
He abstained.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all.